Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rando. We've got Edgeworth and MonoChi doing battle here tonight in the Swiss rounds. We knew a matchup like this could happen. The format delivered. I am Trenton, joined tonight by Nitz. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, and so are Edgeworth and Monoci85. Both runners tonight, 3-0 coming into this race, leading the pack at the front of the tournament. Edgeworth is the defending champion. He's got a lot on the line. Monoci85, a former champion of the inaugural Final Fantasy Randomizer League. No slouch there. They call Edgeworth a confused old man. They call Monochi Buzzsaw. I don't know if either one of those are particularly intimidating nicknames, but you better watch out because both of these guys can beat anybody any day, and I can't wait for this race.
The setup, we have the fighter as forced, the white mage as banned. Other than that, you can pick what you want to. Not really a big surprise that they're running similar parties, although Edgeworth opting to bring the black mage instead of the red mage. I'm sure you're a fan of that.
Well, you get the extra variety, and I can't forsake my namesake. Both runners tonight have a Nitz in their parties, so the lucky rabbit's foots kind of cancel each other out. I mean, your Force Thief is great. These guys both like to go fast. They like to run a lot early game, especially. Can't go wrong with your Force Thief there. The Red Mage, super versatile on mono side. If it rolls well, you can have all kinds of charges of Fade, Nuke, Life Tube. Can't argue with that. The Fighter is just a classic choice. It's the most powerful class in the game, and I think either of these guys would be crazy if they didn't take one. And then, like you said, the only difference is guaranteeing access to all the black magic, a couple more early charges, versus rolling the dice on mono side with, a little more risky. Red Mage can be really powerful, can be kind of junk if the spells land in the wrong spots. So, I expected this. Sorry, go ahead.
In particular, where I would say the ability of that black mage to shine is when you get the class restricted fast spell. If it's in one of the high levels, even a couple casts of fast can really make a difference. So that's the kind of thing Edge needs to hope for.
Yeah, and the other unspoken slight benefit of the black mage is that despite the robes, he's rather fleet of foot at low level. He's the second best runner. So your thief is going to run like 80-85% of the time, which is pretty good, but the black mage is going to do like another 48% or something. So if your thief fails and it's one of those nasty early Marsh dives, that black mage Nitz over there might get Edge out of trouble if he needs it.
Alright, so early on, it always looks the same. Runners want to check out the magic, often want to check out the weapon shop, get something in the hands of that fighter to be able to whack stuff with, and a trip to the item shop to see if you've got enough money for maybe a tent or cabin or two. After that, things start to diverge. Sometimes people like to kill imps for a level or two, as I do. Others like to go straight for Temple of Demons.
The weapon shop, nothing too special. Armor shop, also garbage. Black magic has Saber and Brack. No AoE, but both of those spells, well, pretty good. The Saber in particular for the red mages.
So we have our ability to kill single targets in the early game. We don't have that AoE sweeper spell. That is something you're always going to miss when you do not have it. The concern here isn't killing Garland. Brack will take care of that just fine. The concern is, what are we going to kill on the way to Bracket?
I'm not sure. With a $768 Silver Axe, there's not much for either runner in the weapon store worthy of interest. Mono is heading straight to Temple of Fiend. He's probably going to go right for him with Brack and not mess around at all.
Yep. Brack's not 100%, but it's a high enough percentage that you've got no fear going in there with 4 charges.
Yeah. And Garland crumbles to dust. Mono's got to run away from these creeps. He's going to Brack then too, actually, and get some good levels here if he gets away with this before they run away. But no, Will is fleet of foot, and he's back in Canary Castle.
Also, incidentally, imps have poison, so that's script shuffle in action. As I have said since the first tournament, if you want to know what script shuffle means, do you want imps with nuke? This is how you get imps with nuke.
Alright, so Mono talks to the royalty. He's got himself an herb, he's got himself a crystal. So we're looking at early game fetch quests. Amazingly, the crystal can be turned in very close by, so we'll see what Matoya has, I presume, right away.
Crystal does lend us towards going that direction, but not really the save items, and kind of a dangerous overworld because the imps are so common. Like that.
On the other hand, how can you resist trying with Matoya being usually right there? Oh, the whole party is stunned. And see, this is the kind of thing we were talking about where if your whole party gets stunned, but the Black Mage wakes up, he's got a decent chance to run. Boy, that Stone Poison and stun combination is going to be ugly early game, isn't it?
Yeah, you're going to have to do some encounter manipulation here, try to get rid of the imps, so you might have to forfeit the good walk in exchange for trying to get a different set of enemies and not find the imps.
And right you are, Edgeworth pulls it off, ends up fighting a Mad Pony, which he's able to escape from, gets Bones on his way to Matoya, so hopefully these guys aren't any trouble. He runs away from them and makes it to Matoya's cave.
A little quick background on what that means is if you reset, you're advancing in the encounter table. If you do a hard reset, you go back to the start of the encounter table. The crown is quite a nice pickup. Is that going to take you straight to Astos, or do you check Provoca first?
Oh, I think you have to check Provoca. See, you can save here with the cabin he got in Matoya's cave, which he did, and now he's going to try to run to Provoca, and if it ends up being garbage, something he can't do anything with, like Lefane, he can just reset right back to Matoya's cave entrance.
That's
on the other
a
hand,
really nice walk right there.
But it's Elfland. Elfland's a lovely place with level 3 and 4 magic. Level 3 has fast. That's pretty good.
It's definitely going to diminish the value of the Black Mage.
Level 3 White Mage.
White magic hasn't been so good either.
No. And you're not really bringing that Red Mage to swing a sword. Early game, that can get you out of trouble in a pinch. But late game, it's going to be fighter time. Or maybe ninja time if we find some katanas and things go down in a particular way. The Red Mage's benefit, as Edward has just demonstrated, is the ability to equip cheap chain armor, which has excellent absorb, same as a silver bracelet. Very, very cheap, though.
Looking to see what other magic we have. I just saw level 2 elementals there.
And Fate at level 4, but in slot 3.
Well, these are two of the best runners equipped for dealing with a scene like this. I don't know what he reset of that ogre for.
Oh boy. Mad Ponies have Brack.
You know what? I'm not normally an advocate of going to Peninsula of Power, but at this point it's looking like it's the safest place to be.
They're not the only ones with Brack. There is, like, already the inner continent here is just littered with stone statues, light warriors, iguanas, imps. Everyone's getting turned to stone. Garland's crumbling, dusty body is already littering the Temple of Fiends. It's gonna be a lot of stone today.
Angry imps and regular imp. Edge picked up several wooden staffs back at the beginning, so he can hit low-level enemies. That was a play designed to be able to hit the imps and kill them. He just doesn't want to risk fighting them here.
He's got a stack of cabins. Now the Elfland item shop helped him out. Now it's time for him to loot the Temple of Fiends. He didn't get around to it before when he was desperately just trying to get through. And he's got a house. Come in handy if he has to do a Marsh Cave dive, for example. And some loose change.
4K gold is... It's not great, but it's probably enough that he wants to get out of here with it, because that's a decent chunk of money to be able to buy more supplies with it.
On the right-hand side, Mono's, Will, his thief, has been turned to stone. Do you think he's going to leave him there tactically, or is it just that he doesn't have any softs right now?
You know, it's not a bad play. Right now you don't have any compelling need for that thief. So he's a lot easier to bring up from being stoned than he is being dead.
Yeah, if you do have softs, one of the best things about stone is that you can bring that person back. You know, you don't need life to do it. And having a statue lugging around, they never die. And when you want them, you can bring them back. There's the pop grind we're talking about, but it's going to be a doozy of one.
Yeah, I was quasi-joking but just because of how dangerous the enemies were. But here's the answer right here: is you're hoping to have good accuracy with the giants. The 4-pack is not nice.
We don't have the levels to have any level 4 charges, so we can't really use Fire 2 against the undead packs here either. He didn't get any of the rolls with Brack there. This looks like he's going to lose a little bit of time. He's going to try again. There's a chance if this works, you can get out of here, yeah? Oh,
no. Hey. Well, never mind.
Toxic. You can cancel the plan. Edgeworth, meanwhile, has long ago said goodbye to this place and has reached the dwarf gate. Picks up the Vorpal. That won't do him anything for a while, but we'll see if he keeps it on hand, just in case.
Not without class change, but one of the classic MonoChi plays is how willing he is to sell things to get money to keep advancing in the game. That is exactly the kind of play MonoChi would make.
Yeah, he'd probably cash that bad boy in so fast to make your head spin. Find the first pawn shop this side of Provoca and unload it. The Vorpal can be worth a lot of money. Some random items in this game have incredible value. Or not, because they do get scaled and shuffled a little.
I'm a little surprised that Monochi is continuing to look for the double giant encounter here. But, there is something to be said for sticking to your plan. You gotta come up with something, and you've gotta be willing to commit some effort to it.
I think he wants to... Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
The only thing that can't work is nothing. So if you come here and accomplish nothing, there's no way for that to work.
Yeah, I think his plan is just to get enough to confidently take on Astos on the other side of the continent. Something like that. At least get out of here with something. Meanwhile, speaking of Astos, Edgeworth has returned the crown, found out the evil king was Astos in disguise all along, and defeated him to receive the canoe. So that opens up the entirety of the inner continent now.
I think Mono is actually setting up for Marsh Gate. He's still anticipating that being required at this point.
Alright, so a quick question here. He's going to turn in the herb. First of all, this is a big deal. If he gets the floater, we're airborne. But no, it's the adamant. We'll see if he takes that back all the way to the dwarf cave, or if he routes that in differently. But you've got the canoe. Do you do the marsh dive for the incentive, or do you say, forget marsh, I'm going to go check out Crescent Lake entrance, maybe volcano, maybe ice? Where do you go next?
I'm going to check that adamant first, and I think that's part of picking up the cabins here. It sets up well to do that before going to the east. We had a question in chat asking about the party members at the top of the screen. So one of the variations we can run with is forcing party members, and that's usually what's indicated up there. So the thief is forced, that's why you see him. The white mage actually banned, which is what the X is for. So, good thing to note every once in a while what that actually causes.
Yeah, and just to be very clear about it, just because the thief is forced doesn't mean you have to have him in any particular slot in your party. You can still, of course, move them around. I noticed that Will, on the right-hand side, is the party leader. Edgeworth has moved his thief back out of the first rank, so you have to bring one, but you can use them however you like.
Well, we've already seen lazy dwarfs in other seeds where Narek had the adamant. Now we're seeing it in reverse. Smithy had the TNT, and Narek's going to give us the ship.
And with the free canal and the theme of sailing the high seas, Edgeworth now has all of the wooden ships he could ask for, and he can sail those very seas. This has been quite the fetch quest early game, hasn't it? We've seen almost all the inner sea fetch quest items dished out and returned, and we're only 11 minutes in.
Yeah, this does go to show the value in checking that. The other big thing that could have done is put it in the floater. You'd have been able to go over and get the airship right away. So that's why you don't like to leave fetch quests behind. This sets up several interesting things on Edgeworth's side. He's located Melmond, Vanilla. He can access Crescent Reach already. He can go south and get to Castle Ordeals, which would feel a little bad, because he doesn't have the AoE spells to do it with. And
Crescent Lake
also,
is... Sorry.
The other thing he can do is get to the on-rack and waterfall area. Go ahead.
I think his first port of call is going to be good old-fashioned Crescent Lake, because we want to see what town's there. If it's Provoca, that's another cheap and easy key item, level 2 magic, and so forth.
Yeah, although he goofed a little bit there,
Yeah.
Edge. You have the canoe.
He
You
is-
did park the boat there.
He is confused, okay? By his own admission, he's a confused old man.
Actually, there is a non-zero chance he was looking for the feeds, so he wanted more of a walk.
That's what he'll tell us, but I'm not sure I'm willing to apply that.
So, Nitz, talk a little bit about what's at stake for them as far as the tournament goes.
Right. I mentioned earlier they're both 3-0, which is excellent. He can't beat undefeated. Unfortunately, one of them is going to be defeated after tonight. And what does that mean? Well, the winner will move to 4-0, and the worst record they can possibly do after that is to become 4-1, which would still put them into the bracket stage. In other words, tonight's winner is guaranteed passage into the bracket stage. Tonight's loser will slip to 3-1 and will have to win their final game to guarantee passage into the bracket stage, or they will slip again to 3-2 and end up in the play-in race, which is going to be quite the meat grinder. So both runners tonight, they really want to win and book their ticket to the brackets.
Yeah, there's plenty of friendly rivalry here. The Monoci and Edgeworth are both friends, but you want to win. You want to win your matches, and they both know they're up against somebody who could easily win the whole tournament. There's no question it would be no surprise to any of us to see one of these two names be the champion when this is all said and done. Edge is riding a hot streak on that front. The one-day tournaments, the fall tournament, he has been on a roll. MonoChi has also been league champion the first time around. These are both very skilled runners who have done a lot of winning.
Absolutely. But the competition this tournament is even harder than it's ever been. There's some new faces at the top of the game too, and several people at 3-0. The nature of the Swiss system is that you're always going to have a fixed number of people at 3-0, so I appreciate that your record doesn't necessarily correlate directly to how good you are, but it sure looks like it when you have people like Edgeworth and Mono 3-0.
The more you have, the more it's going to balance out a lot. So Edge is going very south, which suggests to me this is a move towards Castle Ordeals. That doesn't feel great with his magic, but sometimes you have to try and get through with a non-great situation.
Mono has given up on the... Oh boy. Edgeworth meets some nasty Kazokus with Greek fire on the high seas, just burn his ship to the ground with poison smoke, kind of like Battle of Blackwater style.
Real bargain price on the softs today. They're not usually that cheap, but easy to pick up a couple, and that's just good kind of safety strats to walk out of here with a couple of those.
And there was a lot of stone get thrown around early game, so it's good to have a whole stack when you're passing by Kunyari left, right a couple of times. Mono has to go through stone country again. There's the imps.
I like what Edge is doing in that he came to the on-rack entrance first. The ideal scenario for him is going to be this is Provoca with some good AoE available.
Well, it's Gaia. Level 7 nuke he can put on his list. He's got a black mage. So, that's one of the things that is good about having a black mage, is you do eventually have access to all those spells. Will he buy that someday? Will he end up high enough level to have a charge of it? Knowing Edge, maybe, maybe not. He'd be on the borderline if he has 1 or 2 charges by the end of the game.
I don't think he'll have a problem with the charges. I just don't really foresee a scenario where he's going to be back here. The bottle will be the telling tale. I don't think you make the route change for nuke. It's just not impactful enough at the high levels.
That's true, unless, of course, like you say, the bottle ends up being late game and he has to come back anyway.
Well, yeah, if it's on your way, then by all means, it's nuke. Question in chat, did both players skip Temple of Fiend's chests at the start of the game? They absolutely, 100% both did, because all we had was Brack and imps were killers. So, Edge is, I think, the only one who got the money.
Now, he didn't check the caravan. Have we bought the vendor item yet?
I was just contemplating that. I don't remember seeing it anywhere. So I would really like that check. In fact, I did that in my last race, and lo and behold, it was there.
Shout out to the tracker Big Lebowski keeping us honest tonight. No vendor item that they're aware of. So, potentially a little mistake from Edge. I would say that, you know, if you're gonna sail all the way there, and I hope he agrees with me later, that he probably overlooked checking the caravan when he should have stopped in.
He didn't go to the waterfall either, which is a significantly high chance of being a floater at this point. But he's got the crown. Please. Never mind, he's going Marsh. He's going Marsh.
I've been thusly informed that it's not just a coincidence that they have the same avatar image. Our tracker, Big Lebowski, is just an alias of the legendary and up-and-coming Crab Cakes, another favorite to win this tournament already. So thanks, Crab Cakes, doing a bang-up job.
Thank you very much. Edge is going to the north side first. It's kind of low value with the incentive chest turned on, but people don't like to leave stuff behind. There can be very good things in this north side. We're starting to see Mono cover this territory that Edge has already done. One of the things that makes these players so good is their execution, their actual ability to go from point A to point B and get stuff done. But Mono seeing that ship was probably not happy about the Peninsula Power move.
No, it was a huge waste of time. And I mean, it's easy to say looking back as it didn't work, but it was a huge waste of time. If he got a couple of lucky fights and gained like 4 levels, bang, 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 we'd be saying how clever it was. So, hard to hold it against him, but I'm glad he got away from it, and now he's got a ship.
Yeah, he got those initial levels that are very hard to get. Just getting early momentum is a big deal to me. Once you have that movement going, you're usually able to get through anything else. It's a question of how hard is it to start.
And having sailed the eponymous seas, Edge is now diving Marsh Cave for the incentive chest on the bottom floor, which he has reached. Marsh Cave not being too much of a threat against him right yet, but he's got a few more steps to make.
We've seen so many threatening things on the overworld that it feels like inherently Marsh Cave has got to be safer than the overworld was. Mono does have a little bit of cash. Now he's got a little bit more cash.
Hey, his thief failed to run, and Nitz, his black mage, got him out of there, so it can happen. Now the wizard fight.
So a couple of the flags going on here that are probably worth noting is we have Unrunnable Shuffle on. We also have the floater coming from that mage chest. So the vanilla game, those wizards, we would not be able to run away from them. Because of that Unrunnable Shuffle, they are runnable, but something else will not be. Dragon Armor. This was a loaded Marsh Cave. Flame Shield, Dragon Armor, the floater. It's a big marsh.
Yeah, the Flame Shield is great now for your fighter, and after promotion it'll be great for your ninja too, so if you, have one alive.
Eh. Thieves are A-rated floor inspectors.
I mean, checking the structural integrity. Yeah.
Let's see, Mono pick up any of those level 4 spells. I'm a little surprised we don't have the spell charges, but you don't want to come back for spell charges either.
Edge just turned 3 gargoyles to stone, which I think is nonsense, because gargoyles are already stone, but whatever. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Only during the day.
Yeah,
It's never the day of Marsh.
Alright.
Hey, that's a good question in chat. Do weapons change in strength in the randomizers? This is an interesting question, because, first of all, no, but yes. Because, well, the dev team did add it, and since we have one of the dev team members, he can talk about this. Basically, the crit rates were the biggest thing that changed. They were corrected with the randomizer as part of bug fixes.
Yeah, there's a handful of things that didn't work properly with weapons in the Final Fantasy I Nintendo version. Weapons can attack enemies' family or elemental weaknesses. Most enemies have one or more families, and some of them have one or more elemental weaknesses. And if your weapon does... every weapon basically has fields that indicate if it's strong against a given family, like lycanthropes or mages or regenerating enemies, or elemental weakness like fire or ice. And if those overlap, you'll do an extra 10 damage and have an extra 40 added to your accuracy. And those are much higher than what they were supposed to be in the vanilla game, because in the vanilla game, the feature not only did not work, but it did not do much if it did work. So that was like largely overhauled and brought into being meaningful. And finally, the critical hit chance of all weapons was doubled because it was too low. But since it was broken in the normal game, weapons had ridiculously high critical hit chances. So they're actually quite a bit different, but not randomly. It's a fixed option that you can turn on or off, called weapon fixes.
So when in doubt, if you'd like to read more, always a good thing to do is just visit the Randomizer's website itself, FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. And you can see all the great features we have there. What we also have is Crescent Lake with the cube for sale. So clearly, Edge making the correct play did not check that the way Suspender. Temper was at level 6. That could be an advantage for the Black Mage.
Edgeworth, visiting his namesakes, finds the bottle right away.
I would suspect that he will route in checking the Cardia Islands here, but he might also go down to provoke the first, since we know that's the last place.
Another interesting side effect of how quickly he has worked his way through all the incentivized key items is that he hasn't been checking many chests, so we haven't found any of the loose items yet, have we?
No, not as far as anything required, and we expect 2 of the normal incentive items to be loose in a chest somewhere in the world. I don't say that as required items because they might not be. It could be something like the tail being loose and we don't need it. Chad also asked a question about any of the major weapons sightings. Of course, we did see Vorpal. Edge still has that in his inventory. Mono has a great big pile of cash instead. Cure 4, I think in Viz 2 also. Slow Ice 3, we finally have some AoE magic.
Yeah, that's almost an advantage to Mono. With the 2 red mages, he can cast all the level 2 spells on both sides, and there's Cure 4 there.
Yeah, and other than Temper, we really haven't seen anything where the Black Mage would benefit over the Red Mage. So the early game party selection advantage seems to be tipping towards MonoChi. But it's Edgeworth who's clearing things first.
And moreover, knowing what I know about Mono, he has a peculiar aversion to Marsh Cave. And since that's where the floater is, that really doesn't bode well for his chances of making any kind of snappy comeback.
He's got the canoes, so he could make the ordeal play, but he's going towards Onrak first. Which again, when you're missing Provoca and Crescent Lake, that makes sense that you check downs first. In chat, Ice 3 is a really good level 2 spell, lots of charges. That's absolutely true, but this is a pretty bad black magic seed. You want 2 of those sweeper spells to be at the low levels. 4 is okay, but we've got 2 and 4 for our sweep spells, basically. That's not correct.
Mono, desperately hungry, completely without weapons, is going after this shark with his bare hands, finally gives up. He even cast Fate on the fighter, desperately trying to kill him before saying, no, I just saved moments ago. I can reset out of this. So with Vicky turning over the key, how much of a hurry are you in to go pillaging all the key-locked rooms?
You know, with the floater, you can get to a bunch pretty easily, and I like to do things that don't involve fights. So the check of the doors, it's just so many that you can get to right away.
Do you check any
Castle.
of the... do we know where warp or exit is, frankly? Do you check any of the other towns to try and find one of those spells to make your key checking easier, or am I just micro-optimizing and you might as well get it done?
You've seen the first 6 levels of magic. So if you haven't seen it, we don't have it.
And you're not getting it, that's a good point.
Yeah, chat says warp was at level 5, and you're not gonna have enough charges, basically, so no, I'd
Not
rather
yet,
get the
yeah.
items checked, because it's not even necessarily the key items, it's the ability to get equipment. You know, we could get an ice, we could get ribbon, we could get a lot of useful stuff. A mage staff.
Look at this! Sarda's doing it backwards. He's like barricaded himself on the dead-end island here in Peninsula, and was holding the only ruby that could gain access to him. But we kind of backboard him, pilfered the ruby from his private closet, and now we're gonna cash that in and check out what's hiding behind the Titan.
Mono on the river working towards the waterfall. This is actually a really good place for experience, and Frack is doing some damage here.
And that was a total bust. There was nothing in that back room.
No, but it's an easy check, and it's easy to reset out if it doesn't work out, so...
Yeah, that's another
Don't
point.
invest
Even
a lot
with
of time in that check.
Even without warp or exit, if you're checking the key lock chests in the garbage, you can reset out of them too. There we go.
Yeah, so he was able to get warp, so that will speed things up getting out of warp cave, etc. if you have the spell charges, but I don't think it's high enough to have it yet.
Well, he's not checking a lot of the key lock chests. He's going to the volcano.
Armory is easy to get to at this point. Carry wouldn't be... I wouldn't be thinking of killing Carry at this point, so I think this is a treasure dive. You get to a bunch of chests really easily.
Yeah, these chests are pretty easy to get away from too, if you have to run. There are not that many encounter tiles between, say, the doorway to this large room and the front entrance. On the other hand, you do have to go through some zigzags to get into the armory area.
So, I want to circle back to something I said right back at the beginning when Edge fought those wooden staffs. Fighters do better with something in their hands. That was something I had observed, and I've actually spoken with Edgeworth on the topic. He has confirmed my suspicions that the way the fighter works, all his damage and stuff works better with any kind of weapon in his hands. So you end up better off picking up just a cheap weapon of some kind to make better use of the fighter instead of going barehanded. So, Mono keeps trying to whack stuff with the karate chops from the fighter, and it's just not doing anything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I wasn't aware of the great difference. I realized that certainly seems to be working for Edge. He's going to get past this party of mucks here, and then there's a couple chests up at the top. It looks like he checked all the big room first, didn't find anything he's too concerned about, so now he's kind of just rolling the dice and going to try and clean his floor out.
Yeah. I don't know if we have a setting that gives cheap weapons in Canaria, but there's just enough of them out there that it happens you can usually buy something on the cheap. And if you can buy something, you can kill imps. Might take good RNG like today, but you can kill imps.
Oh, he defeats those mucks. Actually gains some levels. I don't even think he was really expecting to do something like that. Now the double fire tile, but he's got Ice 3, which is, the perfect spell for this dungeon, so I'm sure that played into his decision. Wow, they have a lot of HP, though.
Yeah, it'll actually make you really happy that you found the double instead of the single, but you're using Ice 3 charges, because why not kill 2 of them instead of 1 on that same spell charge?
Oh yeah, for sure. And the Bane Sword. Again, can't equip it until after promotion, but nothing wrong with the Bane Sword. Unlimited Bane for the rest of the game.
Unlimited Bane right now, in fact, it won't do anything against the fires.
No, but you can use it against Chaos. In a pinch.
Oh, we might have a runner or two who knows something about that. I'm a little surprised Edge came back to this encounter.
I think he wants to use up his Ice 3s. Just about a max roll. They did 400 damage.
It's tight on their magic defense. They've resisted a couple of those Ice 3s. Now these Red Hydras, they're just good experience and usually not very high HP.
Keeps trying to brack them. It's not working.
Now, Brack is a fairly accurate spell, and when I say fairly accurate, it's just like a 1-5 scenario, often. So it's situationally highly valuable, but as far as clearing out dungeons, it's not what you're hoping for.
Yeah, Brack is best used in sort of a salvo situation where you've got multiple Brack casters and a single target, and you're just peppering them with it until they die. That's how you tackle Kraken or Tiamat 1 with Brack if you have it.
MonoChi is actually the player I really credit for getting me to see the light of using Brack, because he would just go into Sea Shrine at like level 9. How do you hope to even kill Kraken at level 9? Well, he'd have 2 casters of Brack and he'd just be firing it, and he kept killing Kraken. Okay, I see the light. I'm a believer.
Yeah, it has something like an 18 or 19% chance, which isn't great, but I mean, if you get 6 shots of it off, you've got, more than 50% chance of success. It might even be higher than that. Gotta do 5/6 to the power of 6, and I'm getting tired, and we don't do math.
I'm sorry,
on Twitch,
I was told there would be no math, sir.
I was describing the math. I did not actually calculate the math.
I have to grant you that one. You're technically correct. And some say that's best kind of correct.
And others would say it's the only kind of correct.
I'm curious at this point if... Well, no, he's not... Monochi is not two-man strategy in the sense that he plans to do this whole seed on the 2 red mages, but I think he is trying to get more spell charges from his red mages by leveling them up faster.
Edge is trapped a bit of a melee with some wizards. Not melee wizard, that's somebody else. But I've never really felt those wizards lived up to their name. They're just kind of roughnecks that just beat on you with their sticks.
Well, I don't know. They're the same sprite as the sorcerers, and those always keep me nightmares in this game.
Also, not a great deal of magic in the sorcerers. Unless you count the touch of death as magic, because I mean, I guess you can make a claim there.
That wasn't exactly the word I was using for it as a kid, but sure. Magic.
Monochi visits the private clinic. His warrior's insurance copay, basically nothing. He has to fork it all over.
So sorcerers with blaze make that a bit of a roadblock in this ice cave. He fought the blazing sorcerers, he wore a shining warple.
A true epic. No, an instant classic, right up there with Vivaldi's Four Seasons. Will be talked about forever. A single sorcerer, Edgeworth, cracks his knuckles and runs the heck away. Alright, into the hole.
This is one of those things about Randomizer. Vanilla, you'd never think about coming here with a warp spell. You don't have access to it. But we get to do that in Randomizer, which is how we find Excalibur and Tail. Quite the finds.
Not bad. They go great together. Now you just get out of here and get promoted. That's just two great tastes that taste great together. And I'm sure Edge is booking a visit with Bahamut now.
So, Excalibur, vanilla game, it was unquestionably the second best sword in the game. A little more questionable with weapons fixes on where it falls. Many people prefer the crit rate of, say, Vorpal. But as far as if that's what you got, you'll certainly use it. Edge is going to be very happy about that. Basically all the way through to Chaos.
Yeah, the Excalibur is a pretty darn good weapon against virtually everything except Chaos, where it's extremely low crit rate, and the fact that Chaos has no family and no elemental weaknesses means it doesn't get its bonus. The Excalibur has an advantage against all families and all elements, but Chaos has none of those things, so it really loses a lot of its punch.
MonoChi picked up the rod from the waterfall, also a gold bracelet, which is very good armor. That's going to be very for his party. It's interesting because we just had this come up this week about what enemies have nothing for Excalibur to get its bonus against. And it was the first time I learned that actually Tiamat 2, there is a bonus game there. I always thought he didn't have one, so I learned something this week.
Edge narrowly escapes running with some sorcerers. It's with 3 HP scampers away.
One is all you need.
Picks up a pro cape. It's a professional-looking piece of personal protective equipment. Takes the shield slot, but somehow, somewhat dubiously, it can be equipped by all the mages, so it's definitely the best mage shield. Provides 8 absorb, which is the same as a pro ring. For the professionalism stacks, too, so you really look like you know what you're doing if you have both of them.
He also picked up an ice shirt, which is great for being unlimited casts ice, too. It's also equivalent defense to the gold bracelet with an extra element resistance thrown on for good measure. So it's the best defense that you're going to do for a black mage, or black wizard upon class change.
Yeah, you can, both the black shirt, which casts Ice 2, and the white shirt, which casts Invis 2, probably the superior shirt, come Endgame, have elemental resistances when equipped. And the white shirt provides resistance to fire and death. And while death is kind of a ripoff, because pro rings, which are easy to come by, also resist death, a lot of enemy skills attack with fire. Black shirt provides elemental resistances to ice and time, and there are way less attacks for either element. So it's almost a push which one is actually better to equip.
But as far as the gold bracelet goes, getting bonuses as well as the same defense, it's superior to that.
Sure is.
Right, so we have Edge checking out the Oasis now. A really cheap price on the housing market. And we have Monochi finally going to make the ordeal play after having been to the waterfall, so he's getting these checks that make sense if you don't have the floater.
Edge stops into the caravan and stacks up on heals using buy 10 feature. So the buy 10 pack that was incorporated into FFR was basically swiped from some community patches for Final Fantasy 1, and because in the vanilla game the only thing you can buy there is the bottle and you don't need more than one, that patch never let you have buy 10 at the caravan. But that's one thing that was fixed relatively recently, so Edge showing off that you can now buy 10 from the caravan and stocking up on heals very quickly.
I love that buy 10 feature. I love cementing the convenience. We've had this conversation before that it's almost amazing how much gets done in any given time. It's not like we're seeing updates to the randomizer every single week, but then you look back over the course of a year, and it's like how many new things come out in a given year is staggering. I guess what I'm saying is you devs tend to just give us stuff in bulk.
Yeah, well, the release thing has really tightened up over the years. The expectations are sort of higher, and we try to coordinate now with all the... Like, it did used to be that there was tournaments and leagues running virtually around the calendar, so now we actually try to coordinate when new feature releases come out to not interrupt tournaments and leagues by dropping new versions in the middle. And so that means that features tend to get packed up and released in clumps at appropriate moments in between events. And it all kind of runs tickety-boo, so I don't want to jinx it at this point.
The Oxio was loose in the Cardia Islands. Edge is the first to find it. Airship required to find it. Still waiting to see what MonoChi is going to get here. It's still very likely to be something required via Castle Ordeals because we've already found the tail and Ruby. So he could find the ribbon. That's probably about it as far as non-required items or a fetch quest that leads to the ribbon.
Heading up to the Gaia entrance, get back to Crescent Lake. Go pick up his cube. Mark that off on your scorecard if you're following along at home.
We got bingo in 3 squares. The loot for MonoChi out of Castle Ordeals. So yes, something that is absolutely required to complete the game, but not the item he was hoping for.
No, Mono's Marsh version is really starting to cripple him here.
Yeah, this is... You're always making decisions versus unknown. So MonoChi, with the unknown of where the floater was, he gave himself a couple chances for it to be here where he could have gotten it first, because Edge didn't do the waterfall yet, Edge didn't do Castle Ordeals yet. So that's 2 locations MonoChi got to for potential advantage. It just didn't work out in this case.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a doozy, because with the way the seed opened up so quickly with the ship and the canoe early, that basically means the floater can be almost anywhere you can get to without it. And so the fact that it actually rolled in the Marsh Cave, which you could walk to right off the bat, was kind of bad luck for Mono, because he was probably figuring, since the floater could be anywhere, I'm going to go on a hunch that it's someplace obscure, rather than right in front of my face right off the bat.
So the picture is starting to come together in terms of what is required to complete the game. We have the cube, the loot, the rod, the key. We still need the chime for access to the Mirage Tower. We have the Oxio for access to the Sea Shrine. So we're very close to seeing no mode, at least, where we know where all the items are. That Excalibur should make very easy work of any of these early to mid-game enemies. So Edge's Knight should just be a killing machine for quite a while.
So as we roll through the 45th minute here, actually into the 46th, it's probably about time that we take a look back on how the seed came together. It had tons of early game fetch quests. So right off the bat from the King and Princess, we got the Herb and Crystal. And shortly thereafter, the Crown from Matoya, and then the Canoe from Astos, which opened up even more fetching, because the Elf Prince gave us the Adamant, who turned around the Smith, then gave us TNT, and Narek gave us the ship. So it was all very early, very fetchy. But yet, not that far away, Edge was able to find the floater in the Marsh incentive chest, bought the cube more recently from Crescent Lake. The bottle was retrieved from the sages. Vicky offered up the key, and Sarda himself, squirreled away on his peninsula, actually had the Rudy, so he was really safely locked away. Then Edge dove into the ice cave and found the tail side by side with Excalibur, and when he finally got around to going to Waterfall, we got the rod. The Oxyale is the only loose item we know of right now he found in the Cardia Isles, and the Ordeals incentivization chest led to the loot.
I am a bit confused about MonoChi's play here, because if he's going to Crescent Lake entrance, he should park the boat closer, unless he's planning to reset back if this doesn't work out. No, he's saving along the way, so I'm totally confused.
Well, Edge did the same thing. Both of them sort of...
Okay, he's going to Volcano, but it still would have been easier to park the boat near Crescent. Getting killed, not so common sword. Happened to be on the way. So I feel like a lot of this has gone the opposite of what Monochi was looking for, and I know that's an easy thing to say in light of what we see, but here we are 48 minutes in, level 9. He went to Peninsula of Power. When you're going to Peninsula of Power, you're trying for something like level 10 early. So, just looking at the levels, this is really kind of gone the opposite of Monochi's game plan coming into this seed.
Yeah, it's gone big time sideways for him. Everything he tried to do early game didn't quite work, and then his desire to stay away from Marsh has, held him from getting the floater, which has sort of pushed him to take longer trips to get around, and just not been his seed.
I am a bit surprised he didn't go to Marsh yet. Really doesn't like going to Earth and Ice Cave, and it starts to sound like we're saying a whole lot of places he doesn't like to go. But the reason for that is with Script Shuffle, the more number of enemies you fight, the more likely you are to see something in the Script Shuffle that messes with you. And so Monochi likes to do something like Volcano, where it's a little more clear what you're fighting, rather than getting deep into the dungeon and seeing something unleash blaze on you, for example. Ice Cave did today. The whole idea for Monochi is how fast can I get through it, and the averages work out very well for him. It's just, this one's been a little bit kind of an anti-Monochi game plan seed.
Just now, at 49 minutes, he equips his party with, basic gear. It's been a rough, rocky ride.
Yeah, he's been doing this with no weapons versus...
Alright.
All started back with Edgeworth buying wood staffs just to have something.
Now, he's about to cash in the bottle. There that is. What are we going to get from the fairy calling the slab? He doesn't have the rod. We're not sure if there's any other fetch items we haven't returned yet. There's the slab, and it sounds like...
Yeah, I think this fetch quest is going to lead to the chime. It could lead to a ribbon as well. That would feel a little unfortunate, but considering how many chests we've seen, I feel more likely we're going to find the chime.
Yeah,
we've also got the crystal out there, I believe.
No. We turned that into Matoya centuries ago.
My bad. Yeah, you're right. Crystal came from the King Princess and turned into the crown. It was in your recap. I should have paid more attention.
It's okay. I made some mistakes. I wanted to correct it. I said that Edge dug the rod out by talking to the robot, but Mono has actually done that. Edge is about to, though.
Curious to see if Monochi leaves after the treasure checks here. Because, again, like Edge was in this situation earlier, I don't think you have enough firepower to actually carry right now. A really easy carry, obviously. This is a rough one. Also, we did get an out-of-bounds pass, so all his fans will be happy.
It's nice to see the rare and majestic out-of-bounds bat in its natural habitat. Out of bounds.
Yeah, so a fun story about that. At one point, out-of-bounds bat got moved in the randomizer so you could always see him. And everybody hated that, because it's like, it wasn't special anymore. So then Entroper put him back to his normal behavior. So now out-of-bounds bat operates the way he normally does.
And if you're wondering what the heck we're talking about, there's a bat in the waterfall whose initial starting location is right on top of a wall. And of course you cannot move into a wall, but the game will freely let you move out of a wall if you go to someplace okay. And all of the outside tiles that you normally can't get to, you can actually walk around on if you get there. So if in the bat's early movements it decides to move towards the darkness instead of into the level, it will be trapped outside and out of bounds.
I may be wrong, but I think there's actually a second out-of-bounds bat in Marsh Cave, but you just never go over to his area to see him. Going for the translated slap. And Monochi continues to dive this volcano. There's stuff out there that can still benefit Monochi. But this is a tough one for him. Just the tail was where it was, the flutter's where it was. So he's not gotten the big weapon, the class change, or the airship yet. But he's still covering required ground, is one of the important things to understand. So it's not just that Edge got the airship when he did. Monochi has covered ground that Edge is now covering. So, when paths converge and Monochi gets airborne, you'll actually see Edge is not as far ahead as it might first seem at this moment. And yes, we did see Cerebrus with damage poison, which is no fun. Ice armor for Monochi. Nice find, especially if you had that flame shield out of Marsh Cave, but he didn't, because he didn't go there.
Yeah, if he had the flame shield, he'd have a lot more, but he has dug the mass venom. So that's good news.
That's very good news for Monochi. The entire situation has just changed for him for being able to complete Volcano. When you have Masan, it's absolutely possible to complete it.
Now he's also got the white shirt too, so if he gets off in charge of that'll really increase his chances of survival. So if Edge is totally in go mode before he gets back to the volcano, he might skip Masa and white shirt rooms. He might. It's possible. I'm not saying he's gonna, I'm saying there's a chance.
I think that white shirt was out of the way enough that I don't ever think he would check that in go mode. The Masa might have been range. Finally got a loose ribbon there in the Canaria Treasury. That's a welcome sight. And when I said that Monochi could finish the dungeon, this is what I was really referring to, is you have the ability to come kill Agamas for a bunch of levels. Although they are a little bit high on their HP, close to 300 at least. That over 500.
This Agama's been pumping iron, man. It's a, relatively intoxicating environment here in the volcano, and all that smoke and fumes have hardened and toughened them over the generations into super Agamas.
And Edgeworth did pick up the chime, so now we'll see how he reacts to this volcano being in go mode. We know two of the very useful items, and white shirt are here. Edge does not know. Will he? it's all said and done.
This would be interesting. He doesn't really need to check chests, and he's got Excalibur and some pretty good gear, dragon armor. He already has a ribbon. He might say, and he does, I believe, still have the Vorpal Sword, does he not? So that's a substitute he could use against Chaos if he wants to. That might be enough for him to say, forget it, I'm just gonna run. I'm playing against Mono. He might be winning, even for all the success I've had.
In ye olden days, where we were running flags where grinds for experience were really required, Volcano was a popular place because it had at least 3 targets for getting levels from, the Agamas being the most popular. However, for similar experience, actually slightly better, there is the Red Dragon, who hangs out here. He's guarding this one treasure chest. Sometimes he's annoying, sometimes he's just free. So when Agamas are a pain, you can come on up here with Masamune. You can check out, how bad is this Red Dragon? You can whack him for 500 damage despite Biz 2, and you can get yourself a whole lot of good experience.
And speaking of getting yourself a whole lot of good, it looks like Edgeworth is checking the chests on this floor and may walk out of here with a mass boon. He gave me a heart attack. Thought about it, and then, yeah.
But that's what I figured he would do, is he went the ones that didn't require extra walking, and the Masamune placement was perfect for him in that regards.
But he did skip the white shirt chest. So at least Mono has a slight advantage in some capacity that could come and help him later.
The biggest thing for MonoChi at this point would be if he can find Power Gun somewhere that Edge is never going to get it from. And I don't know where that would be at this point, honestly, because what Monochi is going to have to do, he's got Ice Cave ahead of him, but we know nothing's there because Edgeworth already cleared it, and then he's got Marsh Cave, which Edge also already cleared. So I don't think Monochi's going to end up going anywhere outside of Go mode that Edge did not already go to.
And Mono carves up Carry with a fasted up fighter with Mass Moon, and is actually the first of the two of them to light an orb. But I would say the odds are pretty long that he is the first person to light 2 orbs, because I think Edge is gonna make some pretty quick progress after this.
Edge is really good at his menuing and his movement, and when he is in Go mode and not searching, he just covers a lot of ground very quickly. Looks like Monochi is doing the circle around towards Provoka instead of going straight to Ice Cave. Interesting.
Edge not wasting a lot of time, dives into the Sea Shrine. It's a lovely, majestic Elfland entrance, purple and gold.
By the way, worthy of note, we have, following this match, Zardia taking on Lord of the Synth. That is coming up. They planned it for being right after this one.
Yeah, if you thought that the late show couldn't get any later, we've stumped you once again with a 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific late show.
No robot skeletons, but we do have the one-man hype machine, Will Cleosis, involved in that one.
Yeah, if the show were any later, we would have to call it the early show.
There's not enough coffee for... So Edge will probably check 3 chests here in Sharknado. And I will be very surprised if there's any in Scott checks. If he did anything, probably the 4 right by the teleporter at the end of the... But, When you're in go mode, you don't want to spend time checking a lot of chests.
And that's exactly what he doesn't do. Spend any time checking chests. He's already on Kraken's floor.
We haven't talked a lot about the whole 3 tiles for the encounter table, but what Edge did in that Sharknado room is only take 2 steps that actually increment the counter table, and he was able to get 3 chests for doing that. So it's very good for being on the low risk side of the risk reward scale. We have Edge going to do battle against Kraken. He's got a knight armed with the Masamune, and it'll be a race to see what kills Kraken first, Masamune or Braxtrans.
Yeah, if the right don't get you, the left one will, kind of thing. Time to switch. He's gonna trade up to the Masamune on his knight. He's really not messing around here.
Well, he's gonna take the time to do it fast. So 600
7 hits, 655 damage, and the Brack is ineffective. That might be the last chance he has to Brack him. Oh, and then he switches to Ice 3. He's gonna go damage style.
Yeah, I think the amount of damage he did caused him to switch that up and say, well, let's just finish the one, because it can only be chip damage.
Yeah. Indeed, another 426, and Kraken is no more. But he runs into this nuisance pack of lobsters on his way out of here.
We had MonoChi find the tail and Excalibur. He can't do anything with him yet. Still not airborne. But the good news for him is he's basically out of places to look. He should get the right direction now.
He's gonna tuck his tail between his legs and head to the Marsh cave. And what he finds when he gets there is going to be a combination of relief and utter disgust.
Orb number 2 is lit for Edgeworth at the 1 hour 4 minute. Now he has the Sky Castle ahead, so the depths of the Earth Cave.
He's in go mode. He doesn't really need to do one before the other.
No, there's a general runner preference towards doing Sky as early as possible, mainly because of the experience that it's worth. The highest experience dungeon gives you the most level, so if you're able to clear it out, then you've got the most levels going into the other dungeon, which always means you can do it faster. The higher level you get out of this Sky Castle, theoretically the faster you're going to do Earth Cave, and then theoretically your overall time is better.
Yes, that is the prevailing wisdom, but it hasn't been challenged much recently. But you're absolutely right, it is. The going strategy would be to take out Sky Castle first, gain a bunch of levels while you're doing it, and just absolutely breeze through the Earth Cave. The counterpoint is, maybe you could breeze through the Earth Cave anyways, pick up a level or 2, which would help you actually in these first battles in Sky. But that doesn't seem to be the common wisdom, and Edge is sticking to the textbook here because he's on a great run and he's not gonna mess around with it.
The other big thing in that equation is when you're looking for things, Mirage and Sky just have more chests, and those chests are closer together. So there's a lot of preference for that versus these sprawling Earth Caves to get your stuff.
Do you expect him to be checking much of anything anywhere?
No, I'm just referring to that in the general strategy sense. So, if you have those 2 options and you need one more item, everybody's going to favor going to Sky first because there's more chests, so it's statistically more likely to be there.
Absolutely. If you are looking for loose items, I would say Sky first, 100%. But since we're not, that's where I was really asking the question, because all of a sudden is our, taken for granted assumption that Sky's going to be better first when there's items to find. Does it really hold up when there aren't? Or is it now more of a push?
If you ever cross the tipping point where you get stuff to run away from you in Earth Cave, then there's your value. So even the chance at that makes a big deal. The other thing is, if you're in go mode, but something could definitely be significantly better, like a second ribbon, I'll actually check those 4 chests that Edge just bypassed there, and give myself a chance. Not that many steps. Chat's already getting hyped with the chance of a war mech. We've still got to get another 4 higher, but chat's ready for it now!
Yeah, one of the newer features in enemy shuffling is that when shuffling the frequency of encounters, which Sail the Seas tournament does, war mechs are now included in that frequency shuffling. So instead of being locked to encounter 7, which means 3 and 64, they could be shuffled all the way between slots 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And slots 3 and 4 have a fully 12 out of 64 chance, which is the largest possible chance of being your battle. So there's a good chance you can have pretty common war mechs. And we've had lots of them this tournament.
One thing that I like indirectly for MonoChi is he's gotten into just that one fighter situation. Being able to swing that Masa around, he's actually going to get a higher level fighter knight out of it in Edgeworth. At least
Unfortunately, his fighter lost some intelligence and he just reset out of that train wreck. He's also got the Thor hammer for cleaning up these river Caribes. If you're wondering what in heaven's name a Caribe is, I think, when I looked this up, was something like a Spanish or Portuguese word for piranha, which is funny because in the Japanese version of Final Fantasy I, they're just called piranhas. And maybe they could have kept that name in the English version, but no, we get Caribe.
Well, I mean, the thing about the NES, character limits were real. And maybe names were picked before you even knew how much space you had.
And this was way before the internet was commonplace.
Swin fires through and kills Monochi. It didn't hurt him much in that scenario. It just feels off.
Yeah. Runs from the metal slimes.
And he's leaving a lot of experience behind on this bridge, just heading straight towards Tiamat.
Runs from the waters. And he's made it to Tiamat. No war mech for Edge.
Worthy of note, perhaps, is that he's had the thief down for basically the whole seed, at least post Marsh Cave. And that gives you an experience bonus on the rest of your party members, basically. So he gets them to a higher level over the course of the seed without having to stop and do a specific.
Look at that.
Timed it perfectly to hit level 20, which is. Well, why don't you explain what level 24 does?
If you're talking the extra hit on a fighter, or are you talking about the magic charges?
I was talking about the extra hit, but you can go with anything you want to.
And level 24 is a breaking level where a knight or fighter equipped with Mass Moon unlocks his next hit. Every time your accuracy increases by a factor of 32, that's 1 more hit if you're a fighter, and 2 more if you're a black belt or master. And depending on the weapon, Mass Moon being the highest accuracy weapon, level 24 unlocks a crucial next hit for your knight.
Temper was restricted away from the Red Wizard, only the Black Mage that has it, making Edge probably a little bit happy that he made that choice. This was Provoca, I think, so he's going for level 2 magic, but I don't remember, was it Cure 4 there that he might be going back for?
He's got Cure for her on one of them.
That would be on the wizard, so yes, he's going back to get Cure for tonight.
Yes, of course. And Mono, now back in Marsh Cave, is basically certain this is going to be the floater, and not pleased about it one bit.
No, he might not even check all these other chests. Oh, he will. So he finds the flame shield. That's something you're gonna be happier to have instead of not. Because we really haven't found better... The defensive equipment has not been great. See.
Oh, the dragon armor is down here. So, excuse me.
Was that on the north side?
Yeah, top right corner, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Monochi went there. I'm not sure he's going to go there.
Maybe.
There he is.
Maybe he is. Yeah, I think at this point he's desperately... Maybe Edge didn't go there. Maybe Marsh Cave was hard and Edge had to run away or something. So maybe there's something special here. Kind of that kind of thinking, possibly.
Earth Cave, not that bad when you're in go mode. You're usually able to clear it out pretty fast. Takes a few minutes to walk all the way through these winding hallways, but you can get there.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see Edge check many, if any, chests. So this Earth Cave is gonna go by in the blink of an eye.
Probably the vampire chest, because you only have to take 1-2 steps for it.
Yes, I'd be surprised if he doesn't check the vampire chest, but... The next closest one is like the Earth Trap Tile guarded one. He's not going in there for sure.
As for what he would look for at this point, the biggest thing would be a second ribbon. It definitely makes a difference and makes you feel a lot better. You'd also love to find the power gauntlet. But one of the things you have to learn to do when you play the randomizer is you have to learn how to put out things. Because you're not always going to get the luxury item.
Say hello to the vampire.
What vampire?
I have.
Oh, wow!
Well, that's just
The
inconvenient.
vampire fights back, he survives a round.
And then they all lost intelligence. And he's gonna survive another possible... No. 5 hits, 650 damage, the vampire's just a pile of flesh on the ground. He doesn't even check the vampire chest. Edge ain't got no time for that worth. Blowing right by.
And there we go. It's not quite an hour difference on MonoChi getting the airship. It's a substantial one. He is airborne. He's now going to be able to do a lot of the things that Edge has already done. But he's also cleared out a lot of the places. He's already been through Volcano, Ice Cave. The fetch quest is going to go pretty quickly, but you wonder if he's going to be able to put Go mode together at this point faster than Edgeworth is going to get through Temple of Fiends Revisited.
No, if Mono has a hope of a comeback, it's some kind of ridiculously our Temple of Fiends Revisited where the white shirt becomes critically important due to just unbelievably deadly Kraken Honda or something like that. And is it likely? No, but he's got a glimmer of hope that he actually has an important piece of gear that Edge doesn't have.
So as far as the incentive item pool goes, we didn't have the ribbon pop up in any of those locations, so all 3 of them would be loose in the world. Or was that the one we got? I don't know. It's after midnight.
No, the ribbon was dug out of Corneria chest, which is not incentivized,
Yeah.
I don't think.
You can incentivize that location, but we do not have this one. Monochi's gonna get his class change. Edgeworth looks like a 116 entry in the Temple Teaser group. Did he even save?
I don't know.
I don't think he did.
No, he's too fast to save. He was like, I'm just gonna blow through this in one try.
Oh, that could be big, because I don't know how far back his last save would be. Yeah, so Edgeworth doesn't need to save, only goal.
Well, he fights a long and protracted battle against some frost giants and frost wolves. He's getting some of those lower level party members like Dig up to level 8 and 9.
There's the Axio from MonoChi. That's the important loose item he had to find. The biggest thing that Monochi lost out on over the course of this seed was just the travel time. He invested so much more time in travel from place to place, being by ship while Edgeworth is flying around. This unrunnable Frost Wolf Frost Giant combination. The good news is they don't seem to be particularly hard. They're just time consuming.
Yeah, that bodes well for Mono if, say, there's a real gatekeeper later on, because that means every dive into Topher takes longer to get to the gatekeeper, and that helps your comeback chances.
So, Nits, why are these old men running all over the place?
After 30 years of standing in a circle, a painful circle, which is bad for their joints, and just frankly unhealthy, they decided that they'd get up and get moving and, actually talk to each other and experience the beautiful resplendence of the Crescent Lake woods. Either that or they just, got into something or did mental illness. I mean, there's a lot of explanations. But the flag is called Confused Old Men, and despite being a complete waste of time and no test of skill whatsoever, it is very popular.
Hey now. It is absolutely a skill to keep track of which old men you already talked to.
Yes, it's like a game of concentration.
Do not discount my skill, sir. I'll be discounted on many other things, but not my skill keeping track of confused old men. I draw the line there.
Very well. Gauntlet thrown. Gauntlet caught.
We got Edge onto the Earth floor, which has proven very interesting earlier this tournament. In fact, earlier this week we saw the Germaduses be ambushing with Death Touch and Blaze. Was it? No, I don't even think it was ambushing. I think they were unrunnable.
Alright, the age-old speed bump of Lich 2. Not a lot of respect here. Lich 2 does have Cure 4, which is ultimately a good thing for Edge, because it should be easy despite the heal.
Yeah, when you see Cure 4 on an enemy with this low HP, that means it can't be on one of the ones with high HP.
And
Chaos can be over 4,000 HP.
Sure enough, Lich
Tiamat
goes
2
down.
can be over 1,000.
So that's one important spell out of the way. We don't know any of Lich's spellbook after that, though, but could well have had Nuke, and that'd be off the table too. But we won't know, and we might never know.
It's a bit of a hero run on this fire floor going to carry. Is Dig gonna go to position 1? Not yet. Trusting in the armor of the knight against carry.
2 hits, 10 damage. That's not great. Ninja rubbed right out. 7 hits, 781 damage terminated. That's great. Carry, no problemo.
Yeah, I'm using Rub to do all of 1 damage. Light wind could have knocked that ninja over. She uses Rub. Monochi picks up his key after defeating the pirates, so he's starting to make that fetch quest progress now.
Yeah, their Scourge of Evil has been brought to a close.
Just slightly overpowered for the something like 9 HP base ninjas.
Hey, you never know what attacks they have.
Kraken 2 being Kraken 2, 700 damage, but the ninja didn't really have a lot of armor anyways.
Lit 2 does some damage to the... Oh, wow.
Wow! Very, very paper Kraken. Not a lot of HP there.
That was pathetic. I don't know what that Kraken 2 was doing all day, getting ready for these Light Warriors, but it was not preparing, I'll tell you that. Alright, Tiamat. We're running out of options here. Is there any challenge at all in this Topher, or is it just a bunch of dominoes? Oh, down goes Dig.
Well, that's what Dig is there for, to inspect the floor.
300 damage from the Mass Moon after 200 from a spell, so we're already at 500 dealt. Fade brings up to about 600. 4 hits, 300 damage against the Knight. That's a big deal. 160 more. And a nuke 174. We're around 1,000.
This Tia actually has some evade.
Ooh, Trin hangs on by a thread there. 423 from the Knight, and Tiamat 2 is done. And with the
Survivor.
The Majesty of Healing Magic, Trin right back on top. Edgeworth makes it unscathed chaos 4. And this is the final showdown. Battle starts at about 124 mark.
He set a blazing time through this. He'd be here at 124.
Yeah.
We start to do battle with this Archfiend of Darkness.
You and me and Dig and Lar.
That's Larry.
Angry yes. Larry. Angry Larry, of course. Forgive me. 422. Not looking good for Chaos. Better have some serious tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, it looks like those temper charges are going to be just in this situation.
8 hits, 717. A weak attack out of Chaos. Doesn't even take down Paper Tiamat. Trenton doesn't even take down Paper Knits. 2 hits, 270. Another temper. Ah, there we go. Knits takes one more gunshot, goes down. 7 hits, 1227. Chaos still up. 2 hits, 90 damage to Larry. Comes back, 4 hits, 514, and it's all over. You can put a bow around it. Edgeworth wins.
Not a ribbon, though, because we didn't find enough of them. But we do have Edgeworth finishing in first place with a time of 124.53.
That'll move Edge up to the vaunted 4-0, thus guaranteeing a spot in the bracket stage. He could move up to 5-0 and be truly seated as one of the top 2, which we'll try to do next week. But for now, he can be satisfied with the fact that he's free and clear of the play-in race.
Chat wants to know if that's the best time for the Swiss rounds. You know, I don't have the times of every matches. I'll say with confidence that it's top 5. And very, very possible. I mean, 130s are an extremely good time under these flags.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of ways that Mono could have won this after that. Even that pop grind, that snap decision to try to gain some quick levels that just worked out terribly, that was probably enough to lose this race. Let alone the decision not to go to Marsh right away, which was, that was just statistics. At that time, it was a perfectly reasonable thing to guess that the floater could have been elsewhere. But even if you take away the time lost there, the door was already open far enough for Edge to run right through and take this one at 124.53. Just an amazing time.
So I also want to mention to stay tuned to Speed Gaming, because of course there's plenty more of this tournament ahead. But even tonight, we have the madness forthcoming that is Zardia versus Lord of the Synth. That will be following this race. Monochi already has Volcano done. It shouldn't actually take him terribly long to finish the Fiend Dungeons at this point. Go mode, you're talking like 5 minutes of dungeon. So he's got the 20 to 25 minute range, I think, to go. Because he really shouldn't see anything stop him. He's going to do Sea Shrine first, because that was the most handy thing for him.
And you'll also get an example of what Trenton was talking about earlier. With the floater, with some levels gained, the rest of this game really won't probably take Mono that long to blow through. It's just, Edge is already done. It doesn't matter how fast you blow through it once you've lost. But yeah, it'll all come together pretty quick for Mono now, I think.
Ah, there's Edge. I thought he was avoiding us. Hi, Edge. Well, great.
He is avoiding us.
Yeah, we'll give him a chance to sort that. He may even have to restart Discord to get it to work.
Alright, is this better?
It's much, much better. Congratulations,
I mean, we can hear you,
champ.
so there's that part.
So, a blistering time, 1:24:53. Probably one of the best times Swiss round. We haven't done the research yet to know if it is the #1 best time. Did you feel like you had the wind at your back all run?
No, I thought I was behind the entire seed after sailing to 2 towns and not finding anything. It's like, one of these has to be Provoke or Crescent Lake, and maybe I can find something that'll make Marsh nicer. No.
When you were up in the on-rack entrance area, you had the canoe and the ship. Did you consider going to the caravan entrance to see if it had the vendor item, or did that not cross your mind?
I just wanted to check what the town had, because I figured, let's cash. Because, to be honest, I totally forgot I had the canoe.
Yeah, you also walked around the Crescent Lake too. We gave you a razzing about that in the video as well. So, if you're wondering why you're so far ahead after all this time, MonoChi seemed to have a bit of an aversion to ever visiting the Marsh Cave, and every moment he didn't go was another minute you were flying around way ahead of him, and that was one of the big things that cost him this race. He also attempted to do a pop grind early on, and it was just brutal, and he kind of kept wiping. So between those two things that just didn't work out, you built up a huge lead that you never looked back from.
Yeah, when I was trying to do the run down to Provoke at like level 6, I just kept getting melted by frost wolves and stuff. But I could just do a power cycle out and no big deal, but that was probably way worse for Mono.
Alright, so you move up to 4-0, which puts you free and clear of the play-in race, no matter what happens next week. How does that make you feel?
I'm excited, one, because, man, I have bad memories of that last play-in race, and second of all, maybe I can get some commentary for the big play-in race.
Ah, yes. That will be fun. So, not too many people undefeated through 4 rounds. Your next round opponent could be Wilkliosis, it could be Crab Cakes, it couldn't be that many other people. Yes, Crab Cakes or, Wilkliosis, One Fine Day. Which of them scares you the most?
Crab Cakes.
I think everybody's been cheering for that to happen the entire time. We might finally get it next week. But I fully expect randomness to deny us. Make us wait for the brackets to see it.
If it's meant to be, it'll has to happen either next week in the semifinals, depending on seeding, or right in the finals themselves, should you both get that far. So, One race at a time, I guess.
I guess.
So, Edge, how about that Masamune in Go mode?
So those are the greed chests that I pick up in the basement in Volcano. There's a lot of free steps to getting those chests that I check. And I wasn't really looking for Masmugen so much as I was looking for Power Gauntlet. Because I had Excal, I had Vorpal, I figured that would be enough. I was just really worried. Am I gonna get there and get enough temper charges off before somebody murders the Black Mage? And, well, it didn't matter either, because Chaos had no Absorb.
That was easiest Topher ever?
Pretty close, I think. It was, yeah, it was no real big problems other than the unrunnable Frost Giant, Frost Wolf, and
Yeah, we were time consuming.
We were saying that all that time-consuming Frost Giant, Frost Wolves, if there was a real like gatekeeper at the end, like an unstoppable Kraken Honda or a T-Mat with who knows what, that waste of time that you have to do each time to get through would have helped MonoChi get back into it. But as it was, all of those bosses were paper mache, and you had a sledgehammer. Man, it was a joke.
yeah, it looked like they had vanilla or less absorb and standard evade, because I think I hit Chaos like 10 times too, so it was probably even less than.
Check out MonoChi's luck. Running into a Warmac on the first battle of the Bridge of Destiny. It's been that kind of a race for Mono.
Well, he'll be happy for all that extra experience. He's definitely one who's inclined to take the Warmac fights. I had to cowardly run away.
Piece of cake Warmac as far as Warmacs go.
Getting as many as 3 levels of character, how much experience that Warmac is worth.
Yeah, 32,000 EXP, I believe, in vanilla, which is just crazy. Heads and tails over everything else.
So, Edge, out of curiosity, is there anything that you either learned, picked up, or changed in these Swiss flags as we've gone along?
I think the biggest thing has just been routing has been a little bit cleaner. I'm definitely a lot better at sailing to different areas and moving via airship to different areas. You do have to take a lot of different routes as opposed to the previous tournament, and so that's kind of nice. You get to see almost all of the map this time around.
We have MonoChi finishing orb number 3 with Sky Castle. Now he will move on to Earth Cave for his final pickup.
So you said you checked out those towns. You were disappointed you didn't get what you were looking for. Would you have made those plays again, or do you think if you're being self-critical, did you make any routing mistakes this run that you'd undo?
I think that was less of a routing mistake and more of a gamble. I was hoping that because if I found Provoke, I would have 2 spell levels in an AoE. That would feel pretty good going into Marsh Cave.
Yeah, I wasn't so much suggesting they were mistakes. I was just curious if you felt they were just calculated risks at the time that didn't pay off. Kind of like Mono's pop grind. Like I had said, if it had worked and he had gained 3 or 4 levels in a couple of fights, we would have said how clever it was, given the challenging early game. But since he wiped a whole bunch of times and got nothing out of it, yeah, it's easy to say it's a terrible mistake.
Yeah, I think if I had anything, like even a spellcasting item that would have helped me out with Marsh, diving that as soon as possible probably would have been the way to go, but I don't know. I was just hoping that I would hit. Even if I didn't get an AoE, if I hit Warp, it would have been a lot better. But I just didn't find anything. All of the items were floater locked, so that was a little irritating.
Well, MonoChi is still hunting the ribbons, so he's opening these treasure chests. He found the Aegis Shield in the cave.
Yeah, I found the one in key chests, and that was it. I didn't do too much digging out of those. suppose. I figured one with life on the night was good.
Whew, these images are just a mess.
You know what? I gotta stop for a moment here. That's MonoChi cursing himself. In fact, we talked about commentator's curse. That was runner's curse. Because MonoChi invoked the reference to the images that gave me substantial amounts of difficulty in the last tournament. When we were discussing rolling this scene, he invoked the images, and the images invoked Rub and wiped out his party. Although, honestly, it's probably a good thing. Because anything he's going to kill, it's just going to be all the experience on the night.
Mono's Knight, my namesake, now has the Dragon Armor, Aegis Shield, and a Pro Ring. That is the most resist you can have short of a ribbon. It's fun to point that out.
Is that going to be enough he goes without the ribbon?
Without the ribbon, you might as well just go without the rest of the party. Now, Temple Fiends is easy enough, you might be able to get away with it. Frankly, it's possible, but no, I don't think that's going to be his plan.
Well, it's never your plan. The question is, what do you have to do? And if you try and reverse metagame this from what Edgeworth has done, you don't get that time in Hard Topher. That's not a Temple of Fiends Revisited that you had to go through 2-3 times. Of course, that could be because you already had ribbons, but this isn't a seed that really lent itself to going places that MonoChi didn't already go.
And these pesky wizards.
It's a case of they aren't worth a lot of experience when you're just playing, but when you have the experience from 4 people going into 1 person, that's a little bit better.
Yeah, he's also precipitously close to level 24, which we talked about earlier, as giving him another hit with that Mass Moon. Probably not necessary for the battle against Lich, but he'll want up by the Temple of Fiends.
Yeah, it's great when you can have it going into Temple of Fiends instead of picking it up there. Just because it's going to make everything easier.
It's all done. Runnables will get it before Lich.
Yeah, those huge packs, but you seem to be... Did you save before Temple of Fiends are visited? Because Trenton asked, and I cracked a joke that you were just going to crush it first time, which you did. But do you recall saving before entering?
I didn't save before entering. I saved after exiting Earth Cave. I looked at my menu and I was like, oh, 1 tent, 1 house, 1 cabin, and the heal potions are in the right spot. Well, let's not die.
A tent, a house, a cabin, a bourbon, a scotch, and a beer. Going into the Temple of Fiends are visited.
I mean, if I die, like, it's big enough time loss anyway that am I really worried about that the flight from Earth Cave there? It could just it's the flight of sadness, I suppose.
There's 24, comes from killing Lich, which is sort of ironic considering you hit 24 from killing Tiamat. I don't know why he's staying at the inn with just the 1 character. Maybe he doesn't have save items.
I think he was schmoozing up the innkeeper. Alright. Doesn't spend very long at the armor shop. Is he gonna
He's looking for the pro rings, maybe gold bracelets.
Yeah. Gotta visit the private clinic. Or the item shop first. Like, eventually you get tired of carrying around all these corpses, so here we go.
Carry them. Man, you just tie a rope around their ankle and you drag them. You got time for this carrying nonsense.
Scares the townsfolk the way you just got your like dirgeons set up there with the death wagon.
Oh, he went double red, so
He did,
doesn't
no
have
temper.
access. Yeah, well, he should be all right, but that's got to be uncomfortable. No power gauntlet either. Right?
Question from
This
chat.
is FF1. Yeah, it's Randomizer.
It was FF1, Glowgorf. It was. But then something random happened to it, and yeah, it's not FF1 anymore.
We unleashed the greatest team in randomizers upon this game and got something completely different.
It is now FFR. And the R stands for Randomizer. I was going to say something clever, but that would have been confusing. No, if you really want to know what's actually going on here, this is a popular new way to bring to life into this 30-year-old game that a lot of players and fans have embraced over the last couple of years especially. And Edgeworth and MonoChi were racing tonight if you're just joining us late. And Edgeworth has already won the race. He finished at 124.53. Mono is in the final dungeon, if you remember it from ever having seen this game before, perhaps. And he's now going to finish his race too. And what Final Fantasy Randomizer does, if this really is the first you've ever seen of it, not just for Glowgorf in chat, but anybody else who stumbled upon us or is watching a VOD later on, we shuffle up the enemy's skills, the locations of the items in the chests, the spell availability, the gear availability, and we give you back a randomized version of Final Fantasy that you can play for the first time, not knowing where anything is, not knowing what challenges await you, and you can share that by racing someone else, by playing the same seat at the same time. And that's what happens tonight, and it's a lot of fun.
I want to take a moment as Monochi works through here to throw some thank yous out there. Crab Cakes, first is doing our tracking tonight, greatly appreciated. Speed Gaming has been a tremendous partner throughout this tournament, helping us get a lot of these matches in the air, and many volunteer staff that has stepped in and they get the setup work done so that we can get these on. We appreciate all of you. Mind of Me did a lot of work for us tonight. Also want to thank all of you who have chosen to spend this part of your evening with us. You know, a couple hundred of you out there joining us. We appreciate it. All of you who follow our action on YouTube, say hello to you certainly. And Nits, we finally got to do one together. We've been waiting for that chance. And appreciate you joining me.
Oh, it's a bit late, but it's my pleasure. It's the weekend coming up. I can hopefully catch some good shut-eye tonight. If you enjoyed this broadcast and you want to learn more, the easiest way to take it to the next level is to visit FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. There's links that can help you get started in the What's New section, and there's also links to the various communities to play this game. The first link is to the Discord community of the administration that's actually running this tournament. There is another community of players as well. There's a lot of people that are members of both. They recently had a tournament called Chaos Rush that was also very popular, brought a lot of new fans to the game. And there's a link to the developer Discord where the game is made. So depending on how you want to get your fix, as well as instructions for getting started and actually playing it. So it all sort of begins at FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. This carry 2 probably not going to take too many hits. Nit's got the quick shot, but I think a slow shot would be just fine against this carry. Nevertheless, 8 hits, 608, that'll do.
He's actually still using the Excalibur on the night, I'm not sure. He got the Masamune on. Presumably one of the red mages.
Alright, so we're at the hour 45-minute mark. In 15 minutes, which is 2 a.m. Eastern, if you're keeping track, 11 p.m. Pacific, if you're someone that keeps more normal hours, there is yet another tournament race taking place this evening. It'll be hosted by Will Cleosis. It should be on the same channel, so don't change that dial. Assuming Mono finishes up in time, we'll get him in for a little chat, and then we'll pass the mic on. But this incredible night of Final Fantasy Randomizer continues right after this match.
And if you're thinking, oh boy, if only there was even more, we're less than 12 hours away from another match. That'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Actually, not even tomorrow. Later today. What am I thinking?
And who is in that match, Trenton?
Gonna make me look this up while things are going on. Okay, for a minute.
One final question, Edge. This week was mandatory thief, banned white mage. What are you hoping for next week? Edge has been turned to stone.
Can we get banned fighter?
Banned fighter.
Needs to happen. It hasn't yet.
Yeah, I think that would be funny. Just completely mix up the strategy on the last day. Just two undefeateds having to deal with a damn black belt.
I spent like half my practice speeds banning fighter just because I figured it would happen. Here we are. We haven't had it yet. That 1 o'clock match, by the way, will be Wraith Hates Caleb versus Len the Cat.
Ooh, podcast battle.
And with relative ease, Mono has surged past Carry 2, Kraken 2, Tiamat 2, missed steps away from the Chaos 4.
It won't be quite as easy at the time with the Chaos because of the lack of tempers, but we didn't see anything that bad out of Chaos, and we know he doesn't have Gear 4.
Oh, a battle with worms in the final square. But he gets away. Chaos had a, metric ton of HP, but otherwise didn't seem to be too dangerous.
He's
pretty,
around, getting the Bane Sword in a spot where he could use it. He might do that in honor of Will.
Here we go. Let's start with a fast on Nits. Out of fades. Warp doesn't do anything. Thinking about it.
No wall charges, though. That feels bad with no ribbons.
A second fast, just in case. And one wall on Nits, who already had most of the resists anyways. But hey, you gotta play it safe.
Six hits. You really don't want to have to redo this.
No, you do not. Alright, is it Bane Sword o'clock? No, maybe Heal Shirt. Heal Helmet, pardon me. Nits coming out again. 16 damage, not great. Fade for 113. White Shirt to increase that evasion. That was the one ace in the hole Mono had if this Temple of Fiends Revisited was a nightmare, and Edge kept wiping and wiping and wiping. We were counting on that White Shirt, but it is not going to play much of a role in tonight's story after all.
And not using the Bane strats. Clearly a mistake.
6 hits, 693 is more like it.
You can't beat Will Cleosis until you master the Bane strats.
It's sort of the equivalent of, shuffling up a deck of cards, giving one to your opponent, and actually correctly guessing it with no knowledge or forethought of what it is. That's the kind of magic trick you're pulling there. Another 600 damage out of the Mass Mode.
The damage steady. We didn't see Bane come out last time, I don't think, so we're deeper in the list for Chaos here. Yeah. There are 3 nukes in the pool that he could have, but we've not seen them pop out yet.
6 hits, 272. Chaos, 1 hit for 18 on Nits. Just sort of a gentleman's agreement on both sides of the battlefield here. Nobody's really leaning in too hard. 4 hits, 389. We know Chaos is pretty hefty, but not a lot of power. 4 hits, 139, terminated. And even, as far back as MonoChi was, less than a half hour behind, finishing 150, 118. Easily under 2 hours.
Yeah, especially when we were starting, seeing 2-hour times was not an uncommon thing at all. When we set our time slots, we really have to set them at 2.5 hours because on a particularly difficult to access seed where we have to travel around the world a lot, it slows you down. So, as far as average time goes, it's not bad. But Edge just set a blistering pace, starting with making the right choice. Not sure if Mono is going to join us here, but again, want to mention, stay tuned to Speed Gaming because we've got Tsar versus Lord of the Synth coming up. And, see what we have here.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to join for a quick chat, and then we're going to turn things over to the late night crew. But before we do that, Mono, GG, final time of around 1:52. Good enough for second place this evening.
That was horrible.
It's all about that Marsh Cave, isn't it? That darn Marsh Cave.
Oh no, I figured Edge would go the other way first before Marsh. So I was like, usually I would go Marsh first, but I was thinking, let's just follow Edge to see what happened, but it didn't work. My plan was just to like rack the giants for like 4 or 5k so I can buy 2 fades. Didn't happen.
Yeah, they were particularly nasty. They would not go down easy. That whole thing ended up being kind of a giant waste of time, unfortunately.
Yeah, after that I would figure I would lose, but give it a shot.
I mean, despite that,
yeah. I was just gonna say, if you're gonna be able to beat Vocleosis 1 Mono, you've got to learn to master the Bane strats. You just let us down there.
I know, right? I'm sorry, man. I gotta learn how to brack.
You gotta bring it back, basically.
Mono, as far as the tournament goes, you now need one more win to secure your place in the bracket instead of the play-in race. So, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I got Canuck next round, right? I'm pretty sure I do.
Is he? Well, there could be more than one person 3-1.
I'm just kidding. I don't know. Whoever I face next, good luck.
Yeah, well, 3-1 is going to be the real pistols at dawn because nobody wants to go 3-2 and end up in the play-in race. Everybody wants to squeak out 4-1 and go right into the bracket, which I hope we're calling the bracket because I feel like if not, that's a real missed opportunity. Like, the bracket.
Yeah, compelling point.
Yeah, I should start practicing for the next round so I don't get 3. I don't lose. Who want to play the play-in race, right? Sorry.
Alrighty. Well, we're going to turn things over to the other crew. Edgeworth, any final thoughts this evening?
No, not really. Just thanks again for getting me the crew together. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna have a lot of fun listening to you guys make fun of me walk around Crescent.
Mono, final thoughts tonight.
Thanks guys for commentating and thanks for the restream. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank Speed Gaming. They do an excellent job of helping us host our tournament, and it's always a pleasure and very professional atmosphere, and everything just goes off without a hitch, so that's great. Trenton, take us home.
All right, well, it's been an exciting one. We saw Edge just turn in a great run and shows you what can happen in these flags. We've got another exciting matchup coming up with Tsar versus Sin. For those of you who are going to stay awake, hope you enjoy. If you enjoy the rest of this tournament, and for more on the Randomizer, of course, visit FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. Best place to get started. Thank you to each and every one of you who spent this part of your evening with us, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.